Hello and welcome to Cambodia. This is the next chapter of our sabbatical stories, but it is actually a solo video. After a magical 5 months in South and Central America, I made my way to Cambodia alone. I did not know much about the country apart from Angkor Wat and the Khmer Rouge. I decided to push myself by attending a 2-week Kun Khmer fight camp. I spent around 3 weeks in Cambodia, first at the fight camp in Siem Reap and then in the capital, Phnom Penh. It is a beautiful country with some of the friendliest people I have ever met and continue to remain friends with. Before I started my fight camp, I had a few days to relax and recover from my 40-hour journey from Costa Rica. I spent some time exploring the museums and traditional floating villages. People have lived on these floating houses for generations, and they still live here, fishing, living their lives, and even worshipping in a floating temple. I'm here at the Cambodia War Museum in Siem Reap, which is built on a former minefield, where you can see, it's a really interesting museum. You can see all this Soviet-era tanks, guns, weaponry, which were captured by the Cambodian army against the Vietnamese. And you can even meet some of the veterans who fought against the Vietnamese and the Khmer Rouge and the Chinese. And you can hear some of their stories, which are fascinating, and learn all about the sad history of Cambodia. After a few days of acclimatization and catching up on sleep, it was time to start my fight camp. I spent 2 weeks studying intensively at Ground Zero Fight Camp in Siem Reap, in the north of Cambodia. Kun Khmer is a combat sport involving punching, elbowing, clinch fighting, knees, and kicking. It developed from ancient Khmer martial arts in the 1st century known as Bokator. It is deeply significant in the country's history and traditions. I was extremely lucky enough to be trained by coaches Rak and Sat. I learnt a lot from them in terms of techniques, tactics, and also Khmer rituals and respect. I also sparred with locals and other foreigners studying there, and I will cherish the memories that I made. As well as learning techniques and tactics, I was put through an intense fitness regime, Cambodian style. This was tough but felt amazing and was not for the faint-hearted. Thank you. On a rest day from my training, I had the opportunity to visit Angkor Wat. It is the main attraction in Cambodia, and it is easy to see why. It is the largest religious complex in the world and truly awe-inspiring. I booked a tour through Get Your Guide, which lasted for a full day and incorporated Angkor Wat itself and Kotom and its surrounding temples and buildings. The entry price for Angkor Wat is $37, which is based on the 37 steps to the main temple and the 37 factors of enlightenment in Buddhism, describing qualities leading to awakening. I found this reclining Buddha particularly powerful. At the end of my tour, I heard this beautiful music being played by a band made up of people with missing limbs who had suffered injuries due to all the landmines in Cambodia. And I decided the next day to visit the Landmine Museum. This is a humanitarian museum founded by Aki Ra, a former child soldier who has changed his life and helped clear thousands of landmines. The museum displays deactivated mines, weapons, and stories of victims and demining efforts. I then visited the Apopo Centre, which offers one of the most unique experiences in Cambodia. Here, specially trained hero rats, which are giant African pouched rats, learn to detect landmines by sniffing out dynamite, helping clear dangerous land left behind by decades of conflict. During the visit, you can see a live demonstration
Hi,
and
Jordan.
get up close and
Hi,
personal with the
Jordan.
rats themselves.
Jordan is
Here I
4
was
years old.
meeting Jordan.
Hi.
Before leaving Siem Reap, I had an opportunity to take in a Cambodian Premier League match between local side Angkor Tigers and Svay Rieng. I had a VIP ticket which set me back $7. It was a bit of a change of pace from my last match, which was Boca Juniors in Argentina, but enjoyable nonetheless. A spirited display from the home team was not enough to hold off their top-of-the-table visitors, who were 3-0 victors. After an amazing fortnight in Siem Reap, it was time to say goodbye to my new friends and hit the road for a coach journey to the capital city, Phnom Penh. Time to recover and swim at my hotel, and then did some sightseeing, starting at the Royal Palace. Built in 1866, this golden complex showcases classical Khmer architecture, towering spires, and beautifully manicured gardens. In the late 1970s, Cambodia experienced one of the darkest chapters in human history under the Khmer Rouge Empire led by Pol Pot. Between 1975 and 1979, nearly 2 million people lost their lives due to execution, forced labor, starvation, and disease. Two of the most important sites that tell this story today are the killing fields of Chung Ek Genocide Centre and the prison known as S21. S21 was once a high school that was transformed into a secret prison and interrogation center by the Khmer Rouge. Thousands of men, women, and even children were brought here, falsely accused of being enemies of the regime. Prisoners were documented, tortured, and forced to confess to crimes they did not commit. The conditions were brutal, and very few who entered S21 survived. Today, the classrooms remain almost exactly as they were found, with metal bed frames, chains, and haunting black and white photographs of the victims lining the walls, preserving their identities and stories. I was lucky enough to even meet one of the very few survivors whilst I was there. After interrogation at S21, most prisoners were transported to the killing fields at Chung Ek, about 15 kilometers outside the city. This site became one of the many execution grounds used by the Khmer Rouge. Prisoners were often blindfolded and executed to prevent the waste of bullets, then buried in mass graves. Today, over 100 mass grave sites have been identified here, many of which are still visible. At the center of Chung Ek stands a memorial stupa filled with thousands of human skulls, arranged as a solemn reminder of the lives lost. As you walk through the peaceful grounds, you can see fragments of bone and clothing that surface after heavy rain, which is very unsettling and powerful. Visiting S21 and the killing fields is not just about learning history. It's about honoring the victims and understanding the consequences of extremism, propaganda, and unchecked power. These places serve as places of remembrance, education, and reflection, and ensure that the stories of those who suffered are never forgotten. Today, they stand as powerful symbols of resilience and remembrance in Phnom Penh, reminding the world of the importance of human rights, compassion, and the responsibility to prevent such atrocities from ever repeating. I enjoyed my last couple of days in Phnom Penh, visiting temples, museums, and the Russian market, before beginning my journey to Indonesia, where I was meeting an old friend for the next leg of my sabbatical journey. Please join me for my next adventure.